Oh my, what have the Noita devs created? What is this? My video quality is tanking. The world is in chaos. This, hopefully, is the future of Noita. What's up, Noita community? I don't know how many of you guys are actually paying attention to the updates that are taking place on the Noita beta. This client is available to anybody who has Noita on Steam. And a couple days ago, there was actually a changelog posted that shows, as you can see here, a feature that says potion reactions. Now, this is a very interesting mechanic that may seem decently simple from the outside, but if you really dive into this mechanic is deep. Before I go into too much detail, Petri, as you can see below here on the message, below the changelog here, I posted the message that was on Discord, on the main Noita Discord, where basically Petri, one of the Noita devs, just said that they're not sure if this feature is here to stay. They want to get some community feedback to see how it runs on the engine, but I guess to see how much chaos and stuff is added to the game and if people like it. So hopefully, after I explain how exactly this mechanic works, you guys, like me, will be excited and be hoping that this feature or this mechanic is here to stay in this game. So let's dive into it. This mechanic is very simple to explain, but will probably take months to fully understand the potential of it. Now, right here, this is a simple reaction that a lot of people know in Noita. Toxic sludge is one of those things that I feel like in the early days you find it very annoying, but then you quickly discover that if you put a little bit of water in toxic sludge, and maybe sometimes you got to help stir it around a bit, but the water converts all of the toxic sludge over to water. Pretty simple, nothing too crazy. But thanks to this new reaction that can happen inside of flasks, you no longer need to, let's say you have a flask of toxic sludge right here. I have an 84% flask of toxic sludge. Well, now if I scoop up a little bit of water, this interaction can actually take place inside of the flask, and you can slowly see some of it converting over as I hover over it and just watch it purely convert over to water. This was not possible prior to this change on the beta. Now, this change obviously has not been pushed to the main client, but I hope it does get pushed there because it's awesome. Also, I should have mentioned that I think it was yesterday or the day before, they also added a quality of life change thanks to a modder that goes by the alias Evasia in our community. She created a mod that allows you to hover over flasks and see the percentage of every material in the flask. That's also something new, and I'm pretty sure that one, regardless of what they end up doing with this mechanic, that one is probably here to stay because it just helps you understand the contents of the flask in much more detail. Also, one more thing I wanted to point out here about this simple conversion here is you do have to have room in your flask for water. So if this is 100% toxic sludge, there is no room for any water in the flask. So if you wanted to convert all of this toxic sludge over, you would need to pour out a little bit of the toxic sludge so that there's a bit of space for water. You jump into the water and you'll see that the conversion starts taking place. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Sometimes the conversion happens very quickly. But it's pretty neat though. I really like this, and we're gonna dive into this a bit more to show you just how crazy this mechanic can get. So let me throw away some of these things. Here we have two different potions. One is an acceleradium potion and the other is a slime potion. Now, a lot of people may be unaware of this interaction that can take place in the environment, but if there's a little bit of slime on the ground and acceleradium comes in contact with it, it actually explodes, kind of like gunpowder. And that's one of those things that some players can get shocked by. I've had it happen to me, where you're just not exactly, whenever you see acceleradium, you see slime, you're not playing very afraid. It's not polymorphine. But then sometimes there's some mixture that happens right below your feet and it blows up and it does some good damage to you, maybe even gets you killed. But now there's a new fear, and that is if you ever had a lot of slime on the ground, for example, and you had an acceleradium flask, maybe you're drinking it, whatever, and you're running with it out, and as you're traveling with it, you accidentally run through some slime. Watch this. I'm currently at 96% or 96 HP. I have what was that? 80% acceleration in my flask. Watch this when I run through the slime. Boom! Just hits me for 44 damage right there, and our flask of Acceleratium completely empties out as we only have steam, slime, and slime mist in our flask now. So this is a new danger, which is a result of materials being able to mix inside the flask. You actually can have different results. I mean, they'll both explode, but if you hold a slime flask and you go into Acceleratium, or you hold this an Acceleratium flask, go into slime, also Levitatium, Hastium, any of these things that speed you up, they're explosive, but depending on what you're holding can yield different results. So for example, in this one here, we held the acceleration flask, so we ended up with majority steam in our flask as we ran into it. If we were holding a slime flask running into Acceleratium, we may have different percentages at the end. That's something important to point out, and it's a really in-depth mechanic with this mixing of potions that, you know, we'll have to dive into in another video, because I could talk about it for hours, and I'm still learning about a lot of it right now on my own. Another potion reaction I feel like talking about is the unstable teleportatium potion and how it can be made into regular teleportatium. Yes, you can take this unstable teleportatium that normally would be unreliable, that throws you in all directions whenever you use it, and convert it over to the good stuff, the regular teleportatium, which is like a speedrunner's dream because it allows them to get around the map very quickly and very efficiently. So let me show you. First, we need to create some space in our unstable teleportatium potion. So we're gonna pour out a little bit of that. We're down to 96%, and there are different methods for mixing stuff. Like what I'm doing right now is I'm simply placing a potion down and just pouring slime into it. But there probably will be better methods that people come up with. It's just right now I'm using a simple one. I mean, I guess another one is you could throw the slime in the air and then catch it in your teleportatium flask or unstable teleportatium flask if you're fast enough. As you see, I just actually caught a little bit of slime there. See if I can catch a bit more. Lately, when I've been testing stuff, since I did this a couple days ago, I've been mainly just sitting the flask down and pouring on top of it. Both of them, you know, seem to be pretty useful. I don't know what's considered the superior method. I'm gonna need more time to figure that out. And you can actually watch the conversions taking place in the flask as you chill. Also, whenever you're pouring slime into or unstable teleportatium to purify it, to turn it into you know, regular teleportatium, you can actually find the conversions happen at different rates depending on if you pour unstable telly into slime rather than slime into unstable telly. I don't know the best methods yet. Like I said, you know, there's still a lot of stuff that's up in the air, still perfecting that, and there's so many interactions to talk about. This is just one of many. But the key thing whenever you're mixing stuff is you need to create room in your flasks. That's the number one thing I've been having an issue with, is making sure that I have enough space in the flask that I'm trying to do conversion with. And sometimes I find like the conversion happens really quickly, and other times I have to do like several attempts to get the ratios kind of right, to get it to see right there, boom, it just jumped over where we finally got a ton of it to switch over to teleportatium. That'll be stuff I'm sure in the coming weeks that people will master, and I will learn how to do first try to get majority of it changing over to teleportatium rather than having to do multiple attempts. If right now it feels a little bit, you know, it's a little jank, I have to do multiple attempts and all of a sudden it'll all pretty much convert over to regular teleportatium. It's very weird, but it's really cool, and it's fun watching the transition over to the different you know, liquid take place. So if I need to empty out some of the unstable telly at the end, remember that it does pour from both of them equally. So whenever I go to pour this, it's going to pour from both unstable teleportatium and teleportatium at the same rate. So since there's only 2% unstable telly, it will run out the unstable telly much quicker, so I can make sure my flask is purified into just regular teleportatium very quickly, very easy. So 92% teleportatium, whenever you originally had an unstable teleportatium flask and all it took was adding some slime onto that, and I did it pretty sloppy, so you could probably do it with just a couple pixels of slime if you know what you're doing. But right now I'm a noob with this mechanic, so I'm learning about it. And I feel like I'm not really, you know, showing the sexy side of this mechanic. I'm not showing the potential of this thing. So besides showing you guys the very reasonable, the very logical in flask or in potion, you know, material reactions, let's get wild. Let's show the potential of what this mechanic unlocks in Noita. Let me jump to maybe a method for killing the boss. So now we're at Colmy, the final boss, and we're gonna kill him in a weird way with the Caca Stone, as you can see up there, also known as the Poop Stone. And thanks to the new potion mixing mechanic, we have converted over our vomit to gas of Midas. And yes, Colmy is also throwing up gas of Midas. And gas of Midas, instead of creating gold like it normally should, is creating acid. And that acid is creating more gas of Midas. And now the entire screen is filling with gas of Midas and acid. And my bitrate is tanking to hell, and oh my god, hold up. This is, okay, this is getting a little out of control. Oh, help me, Tom Cruise! Help me! Alright, that last one was a little bit much. A little ridiculous. Let's do something more reasonable. Like, did you know whenever you eat grass that your character gets gassy and farts out flammable gas? And if we converted that flammable gas over to monstrous powder, you can now fart out bridge bosses. God, I love Noita. And I hope this mechanic sticks around.